Greetings to you from wherever you're watching us tonight. It's a Tuesday edition of the show. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Of course, there's always a lot to talk about. When we get into it, is the fast-paced, money-spinning, and entertaining world of sports. And of course, I don't do this alone. My colleague, my partner, Osno Akpan, is with me. And of course, we're taking this jolly ride together. Greetings to you, Austin. Feels good to be here again.
Awesome, Yemi. Sporty greetings to you and to our viewers joining us from different parts of the world. Still an action-packed world of sports. So much going on right here in England. We have actions going on in the FA Cup. I'm sure you know that's also the Upset Cup. We're monitoring it. We'll continue to give our viewers updates coming from that one. Also in Nigeria, now we can say the NPFL is back, though an abridged league version, but it's already getting us talking with the number of away victories that we've seen on match day one. We're still taking a look at sports in Nigeria in 2023. What are the plans in place by different federations? We've listened to handball, squash, and badminton. Tonight, we'll be listening to a sport that has the potential to do well for Nigeria, particularly if we invest in it. We can go to the Olympics and win medals in that sport. I don't know, bring it out now. Just walk with us on this journey, Yemi. It promises to be exciting.
All right. Since Austin did not let the cat out of the bag, I won't do that as well. I'll keep it on the wraps. But just to let you know, we'll also talk about the first Grand Slam of the year currently going on. That's the Australian Open. We'll save that for the last part of the show. We'll talk about it. And trust Austin, he will be giving us updates from his end with regards to the FA Cup. And, of course, hopefully we'll have that discussion on the sport that could win us medals if we invest properly and put the right structures in place. All right, let me just quickly go on to introduce our partner in the Lagos studio. Kehinde Idris joins us now. Greetings to you, Kehinde. Thanks for finding out time to be with us on the show tonight.
It's good to be here always. It's good to see you. You know, these days because different people, but it's always good to, you know, share the studio with you. And then hosting, like they call it, in swinger, it's always nice, you know, to be here.
All right, so promises to be an interesting day. But before I go back to Austin, there's a lot to talk about. But what has been the high point of the week for you? It's just Tuesday. But what are the things you think we should look forward to? What are the things that made your weekend?
I think for me, at that height, it should be Efe Ajagba, you know, over the weekend. Somebody asked, when is Efe Ajagba going to get a big fight? When they say a big fight, one of those notable names, you know, the Deontay Wilders, you know, Anthony Joshua, Alexandra Usyk, and all of that. But it's a build. It's a build. I think the COVID slowed Efe Ajagba down. Probably if there was no COVID, we would have had more fights, you know, to have been at that point. Then the NPFL, the away wins, but it wasn't more of the away wins or the draws and all of that. There's the fact that there was minimal, very, very minimal complaints coming from home teams. Normally, if you had this lot, out of 10 games, 5 away wins, 4 home win, and then we had a draw. So if you had this, you would have had a lot of noise. The referee did this, did that. Then Gusau just stopped it by the whole referee's appointment, talking about fate. Rabo, and I think that should be the height for me. Australian Open would always get my attention, but this I mentioned, probably I'm Nigerian. The Nigerian angle should get my attention.
Charity begins at home. Let me go back to Austin to lead us into that discussion. I think at this point we'll have to let the cat out of the bag, but I'll allow you to do the honors.
You know, Yemi, I love it so much, particularly at the start of the year when we hold federation presidents accountable and let them know that we're monitoring, watching them. We need to keep them on their toes, remind them of those vows that they made when they were, you know, rooting for votes to become federation president. And that's why we are always doing what we do at the start of the year. So our viewers, sports followers, can follow the plans and objective of federation and actually know their calendar for the year. We've talked about handball. We've discussed badminton. We started with squash. Tonight on the show, we want to take a look at the development of cycling in Nigeria. For the sport that is doing so well as leisure, you would expect Nigeria, with our rich human and natural resources and talent, that we can be doing so well with cycling. So tonight on the show, we're speaking to Giandomenico Massari. He's the president of the Nigerian Cycling Federation. Every time I call your name, president, I always stutter. Good to have you on Sports Tonight. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. Nice to be with you.
Yeah, good to have you on the show. Let's talk about cycling in Nigeria, particularly with the new year in mind. Let's begin with where we stopped last year. Did we stop in a good place that we can use to consolidate in this new year?
Yes, because if you recall, cycling has different type of speciality. But recently, apart the road that normally has been done for many, many years, since 3 years, we have started on track. Then when we have started putting operation at the velodrome, we start competing. And in spite it's only 3 years that we have started this discipline, we have already achieved a lot of height, particularly with the female team, both junior and senior, the elite. In fact, even I like to recall that even last year we have been qualified for the World Championship. That we went to Paris to participate to the World Championship. What we did in 2021 for the same things. So this year there is quite a program, because now our target is qualify for Olympics. We won't even qualify again for be in the next year, in this year, World Championship that will be held in Glasgow in August. But we won't start the accumulation of points for qualifying in Olympic in track for the female. In fact, now we have 2 important competitions we held in Cairo. Nation Cup, we will participate because we have qualified for that, and even the African Cup. There is the possibility to get points that will be very, very important, both for the qualification on the Olympics and at the same time to be qualified during this year for the World Championship. And just let me tell you, in some of the specialty, particularly in team sprint and in team pursuit. In team sprint, we are the 9 in the world, the first in Africa, as well in team pursuit. And again, we are even very well in keirin, in sprint, and even 500-meter sprint time trial. That eventually we are 11 in the world, first in Africa. So as you see, in spite it's only 3 years we have started, we have already achieved a lot of high. And of course, we try to consolidate this, because we have really a very big and good crop of athletes that can achieve even very, very high goal.
Sounds good, And I remember just before the outbreak of COVID-19 in 2022, we spoke to you and you said COVID-19 slowed down some of the plans and objectives that we had for cycling in Nigeria. Is everything stabilized now? Are we focused in achieving those objectives?
Yes, because as I said, we have already, in fact, even last year, we have been able to host the African Championship in Abuja, where 15 countries participated, and even Nigeria did quite well, it's still in track. So as you see, in spite only for 3 years we have started, we have even really reached very quite high level. And we want to consolidate this, as I told you, and make sure that, particularly in these 2 competitions in Egypt that will be held in the first week and the second week on March, we will participate in the Nation Cup and even to the other one, that is the African Championship. At the same time, we try to see if we can participate in another Nation Cup that to have even higher scoring in our category.
Okay, I like that. We're busy. Let me get ready. I'll soon be handing over to my colleague in Lagos. So tell me, president of the Cycling Federation of Nigeria, aside competition, because I see that most times we just want to organize competitions. Aside competing, what is the Cycling Federation of Nigeria doing to develop the sport?
Okay, we are developing because, you know, we are even organizing grassroots program in different parts of the country, not necessarily in one. And eventually, this is even one of the main target, because, you know, only when you can nurture and scouting a new talent, you can even continue whatever you are doing. So for that reason, grassroots is another very important thing. At the same time, we want even open in other type of specialty like mountain bike, because I know that Nigeria has a lot of talent, and as well even BMX, apart of the road cycling. In fact, even in February, we participated in the African Championship on that discipline. So as I said, the program is, but you know, a lot of challenge in finance. So the finance is this. So we are expecting that for the type of development we have achieved, many, you know, corporate body, because you cannot ask everything to the government. Even the government, most of the time, they are struggling even to make sure that you know, at least to maintain the infrastructure, but at least organization of competition, support of the competition, require an assistance, particularly for corporate body. I believe corporate body is even the best way, the private sector, that can even try to change the mind and support the sport, cycling, but all the sport at large, because, you know, sport is fundamental for any society, particularly for even to the youth, and not only the youth, because, you know, it's some things that they can be extended to many other categories.
All right. Once again, thank you for taking our time to be with us on the show tonight. I just want to quickly follow up on the questions Austin has asked, and I'm particularly interested in asking you that we've talked about discovering talents. Is it possible for us to raise world beaters in this environment, in the Nigerian setting? Is it possible for us to raise world beaters, or we'll have to discover them and take them out of the country? Can we discover them, keep them here, and nurture them to become world beaters and, you know, get to the point where they win medals and do well in international competitions?
You know, winning medal is not a overnight matter. You understand? Winning medal requires.
Okay, all right. We'll get back to the conversation we're having with the Cycling Federation President, Gian Domenico Massari. And once we were able to restore connection, we'll get back to that. He was, Ken Idris, he was about to answer my question. And I'm very sure probably will be on your mind as well. Yeah. You know, you look at Nigeria, the familiar story of funding, familiar story of facility, familiar story of is it leisure, is it a sport? And you want to ask, can we, after discovering these youngsters, can we, in this environment, turn them to world beaters?
Exactly.
Or we have to relink, once we discover, we have to probably pass them on to other advanced countries.
I think when you were asking that question, it was like you were, you know, spotting all the, you know, all the dots, right, ticking all the dots right there. Yes, I think that's a huge question. There is a cycling lady, you know, who I spoke to, and she said Ghana has been so massive to her growth, although she has won all the medals she had, you know, under the Nigerian, you know, auspice, but Ghana has been that development, equipment, facility, and all of that. So she jets into Ghana, you know, in and out at the regular basis. I also, you know, would have jumped on asking classification. Hey, do we have the Nigerian #1 cyclist or the state, you know, rankings? Rankings also tells, you know, if we know the #1 ranked cyclist in Nigeria, where is this person based? Is this person based here? Maybe that can tell us a whole lot how the development right here has been. Because, you know, it's a huge one to know if this environment, if this terrain is suitable enough for you know, to tell somebody, just go ahead, do your cycling, and then you can grow right here. I think that would be massive. But like we've seen with so many sports, if you must grow, at least for today, you can't just stay in the Nigerian terrain. You would have to go out there. And
that's an interesting question, and I'm very sure he's ready to answer. He's gearing up, and once we're able to restore connection, we'll get that done, because we'd like to know.
We should.
You know, most of the federation president will get a chance to talk to always tell us about their programs, and it's been a while, and it's been. I'm gladdened, you know, with some of the things I've heard him say about developmental programs, the progress they've made, but I also want to know there's this departure we need to start having from, especially from some of those games we tend to see as leisure, that we could do a lot.
People don't even know it so much. Yeah, I mean, there was a time cycling, even for leisure, is one of the topmost, you know, leisure activities in Nigeria. Almost every family, each child, no matter how or not so rich the family is, they'll find a way to have a bicycle. Today, cycling, bicycle, and all of that is not one of those things in the front, on the front burner, and that's a worry. You know, and then you have a federation. What are you doing? I hear how expensive bicycles are. Talking about, you know, cycling bicycle, not the regular ones you ride everywhere. The sports ones, how expensive. How do an average person get this? How do they get it, maintain it, and then use it to develop themselves every day? It's all combed into one, and can be answered only by, you know, Masari right there.
Yeah, let's bring Austin back into this conversation while we try to restore connection with. Okay, it's back with us. Thank you, Mr. Masari. You were about to answer my question with regards to the environment we find ourselves. How easy is it to develop a star, and to discover a star rather, and turn them into world beaters in the Nigerian environment? Do we have everything it takes to get that done?
We have a lot of challenge. And that is if you have not recognized this, you cannot understand really the biggest problem we have. But at the end, if you see, we have very good talent that they have expressed their own skill. We have particularly the girl that they have been in a very high position in the continent, in the Africa, but even they have been able to express that talent even outside. When we have gone to Nation Cup, we have been in Colombia, we have been in UK, we have been in Italy, we have been in France, and we have been even twice in the World Championship. And everybody starts even appreciating this type of thing. The biggest problem when they are returning here, there is not sometimes the environment that they can let continue and express the talent that they have. For that reason, it's important to having a type of relationship with other federation in the other continent to make stages for these talent. So then they can express, and even they can that potential becoming a reality. So we have a very, very good, talented, you know, athlete in cycling. Particularly, they can express at the moment in track and what has happened. But because if you think, only 3 years we have started.
Okay, yeah. Before I'll you know, take it back to my colleague, I want to ask, how easy has it been to make people? That's the question we always ask about sports that people see as leisure. How easy has it been to make people see the difference between cycling as a sport and cycling as one of the hobbies you can pick up? Because it's really a sport, you can do a lot. I mean, it can be done professionally. So how easy has it been to make people know that this is more than leisure, it's actually a sport, and you're trying to make it run professionally?
You know, leisure, you have to practice that leisure in even places that it has to be safe. Unfortunately, many towns in Nigeria, there are not even the cycling track where even you can at least having a sort of safety when you are practicing the cycling for leisure. For that reason, just there are some challenge that anybody that wants to start, particularly the parents that they want leave their own children do this type of activities, even starting a sport, they are very afraid that maybe if they are going on road on this, can be even having an accident during this practice. For that reason, I say that is the biggest point. But as I said, Nigeria has a lot of potential, and in fact, in a very short time, we have started this other type of this other type of specialty. We have been able to be at the top of Africa, and even we are passing even South Africa. Even we have in some of things above Egypt, and eventually and Algeria, and eventually we have even in some category even in the world in a very, very good position. In fact, for that reason.
Let me just pause you, CFN President. Let me pause you. That's a good place to pause you. It's Sports Tonight on Channels Television. We will go on this quick break, but we'll keep the president of the Cycling Federation of Nigeria. When we come back, 1 or 2 questions and we're done with this segment. So don't go anywhere. Stay.
All right, welcome back. We're still having that conversation with the president of the Cycling Federation of Nigeria, Domenico Massari, and he's been speaking with us, telling us the recent developments in cycling. All right, we have a few more questions for him before we let him go. All right, just one from me. I'm very sure one from Austin. I mean, I'd like to know, you've talked about it, but I also like to know, what are the challenges? You're probably going to say maybe funding, but aside funding, are there other challenges that the Federation has when it comes to developing the sports in Nigeria?
Yes, okay. The first, as you said, the first big challenge is funding. Because, you know, when you have to participate, qualify, even if you have the right people, you have to spend money for tickets, for accommodation, feeding, allowances, and maintenance of the equipment, and so on. So that is the first challenge. But apart of this, of course, we have even other challenge, because we want even, as I said, developed sport, starting with the grassroots. So we need to have safe area, places where even, because, you know, from kids and from children, because that is the way you can start even scouting for the new talent, to have a sport that will be safe. That is very important. And in fact, we are trying even to liaise with the government and this, if they can start even thinking seriously in some of the towns that there are even a possibility to start, making the cycling track by the side of the road, because that we can be even some things that can attract a lot of things. So that is one thing, at least for road. And at the same time, you have to be even making sure that you can even having a part of this conducive environment, even other possibility, you know, interacting with school, because in the school at all the level you can have potential champion, potential people, and at the same time making sure even that you can having the all the possible, you know, connection to make sure that the advocacy you are doing to propagate and to attract more people to this sport, it will be even yielding a result. For that reason, you know, there are things. We have even making a program that on that direction, to make sure that becoming a reality, you know, it will be, you need even more, you know, support in that, even for government in that aspect. So that is the thing.
Let's end it this way. It's a new year. What should we be expecting? What are the major activities for the Cycling Federation of Nigeria in 2023?
track. I already say track. It's not meaning that we are forgetting the other. We are even started doing BMX, that is a new specialty, and mountain bike, but track, because, you know, I want to tell one thing is very important. Whenever you want making popular any sport or any activities, it's not even peculiar to sport activity, you have to focus in one thing, where you become visible not only in the country, but in the continent and the world. When you have been visible on this and you have achieving goal, you start getting medal, you will see many people in the country will be interested to follow. It's a locomotive that we have to do. For that reason, track is the main focus, because we have already achieved things. And with track, we can even achieve a higher level that can attract a lot of interest and to even making the sport more popular.
So what are the major track events we should look forward to in 2023?
Okay, we are going, as I told, in the African Championship in Cairo, just in March. And then in March in Cairo, there is another very major event, Nation Cup. Then we are thinking to go even to Canada for this another event, is the second Nation Cup that is giving qualification for World Championship of this year, that will be in Glasgow, and then for the Olympics, as I told you before, because we want to go, and this is area for the third time to be qualified for the World Championship that will be held in Glasgow the first week of August.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Gian Domenico Massari, President, Cycling Federation of Nigeria. Good to have you on the show tonight. Thank you.
Thank you to you.
Awesome. So that's it, the president of the Cycling Federation of Nigeria. Akende Idris, I like their focus. You know, there's so much we can do with cycling, but he says for now we've discovered our strength is in the tracks. And I think again, infrastructure is important. The velodrome at the Abuja National Stadium seem to be serving that purpose. You think that's a good focus from the CFN?
Yeah, that's a good focus. Like I always say, there is never a bad time to start a right thing. There is never a wrong place to start a right thing. See, you start from 1 and you're looking at 10. Make sure 1 is so good, and 1 can attract other people that will help you achieve 2, 3, 4, up to 10. And that is what they are doing. Take it from, probably the easiest one, to get and attract people into the sport. And when you do that, it would always be seamless to call people into, achieving the big ones, like, all of these big, facilities. He also said, one of the, when he was talking about challenges after Yemi asked him, he said safe place, because we have young people who would come on board for this sport and want a place where they come, get to practice and all of that. And it's safe for them to come and also to live and then to practice right there. And those are the, probably small places, how you start this whole thing before you get into the big ones. Because when you talk about the velodrome, these are, already massive structures. Nothing can happen there. But these safe places we're talking about, maybe in your local areas, there is this local coach assigned by the federal body who now, oversees some kids and all of that. And then he needs to make sure, because the moment something happens to one of those kids, then you can almost say his mission aborted. Everybody, will take away their kids, saying, no, it's not safe. And these are, some of those small things that we're talking about.
Yep.
And I love the fact that they are starting from there. Get that very right. And then you would almost seamlessly get people to come on board to help you achieve the bigger ones.
All right. Okay. So that's it. That's our bit on cycling tonight. Hopefully tomorrow we'll talk to another federation president, continue what we've started talking to this federation heads. All right, let's quickly go on to what Idris said was the high point of the weekend for him and so many other people is the Nigeria Professional Football League, flurry of games, and of course is interesting. Let's quickly take you through some of the results that we had, and we'll take some reactions from it as well. We have a lot of ground to cover. We'll do our best to cover all that we have for you. Let's see if we can get it on your screen. That's it. You have match day 1, the results right here for you. Nasarawa United, of course, lost to the Aba Elephants 1-2. They lost to Enyimba. Plateau United played a 3-3 draw with Shooting Stars. And you have Remo Stars continue from where they left off last season, defeating El Kaname Warriors 2-0. And, of course, Kwara United, a good one for Kwara United. Of course, they, played a draw with Gombe United. You can't call that a good one, actually, but played a goalless draw with Gombe United. All right. Of course, our focus, Kende, will be on the game, Nasarawa United and Enyimba. And you talked about it in your opener. And let me get you to us in a few seconds, because I want us to take reactions from Balanique and Finidi George. But in a few seconds, were you surprised?
Kind of, because of how Enyimba were last season. We didn't know the kind of Enyimba that would show up and start this season. And I think they learned a lot, especially, so many times, probably Nigerian football is even way more impatient than the English Premier League. We thought Finidi George would have been gone with the way Enyimba, didn't show up like Enyimba would show up. But sticking with him and then starting this way. And he just told us a story that probably Finidi George needed to learn what he learned last season, and we'll see a bigger, better Enyimba this time. Because whether we like it or not, this is one of the top teams in the APL. And I, for one, have always been
in the NPFL.
In the NPFL, sorry. I, for one, have always been an advocate for we need to have some teams that will represent us on the continent on a constant. I'm not saying you should pad anything or, help any team, but we should have those teams doing something special that gets them on the continent every now and then.
They gather give us a good
They gather the experience, they come back again and hit the continent for hard. So, good one. Nasarawa United is not a team to go away to and win. Enyimba doing that is a huge one.
All right, a good way to start. Let's quickly listen to the two managers, the post-game reaction of Finidi George and Balanique. We'll come back for more on Sports Tonight.
It was a difficult game. Being the first match, I think a lot of players were a little bit nervous because nobody wants to lose. This an abridged league. We knew what happened against Aqua, so everybody's a little bit mindful. But I must commend the boys. They fought hard. Difficult game, but I think we deserve to take the 3 points. If we had lost, then we would have been asking questions. We know coming to these areas is always difficult. So sometimes you have to scrap for it. We're all expecting good football, but sometimes it's not going to be possible. We did well in the first 45 minutes, and I think because of that 2 goals lead, my boys set back a little bit, and the pressure came. So we have to work on that and make sure even if we are 2 goals up, we still have to keep playing.
How do I put it? It's like the game was destined to be like that. But the major thing is, I think for quite a long time we've not played any strong friendly match. So I think we have a kind of match rustiness. So that one affected them a bit, but I'm sure from this match now, we will not have problem again. He has been a very good goalkeeper. He has been doing very, very well. So maybe he came out on a bad day, and we have to take it like that. We cannot crucify him for making mistake. And of course, like you saw in the second half, everybody in the team is as good as any other person.
Post-game reactions from Finidi George, former Super Eagles winger, and Balanique. That match, by the way, was played in Jos. Let's take you quickly as fast as we can. We'll go to Group B now and see the results. I'll run through it. Of course, we'll talk with Austin and see how far we can go with the time that we have left. Of course, the game we'll try to review is Rangers losing 2-0 to Abia Warriors in Oka. It's something to think about. Kane Idris talked about 4 away wins. That's one of them. Wiki Tourist also lost to Niger Tornadoes. Rivers United defeated Lobby Stars 2-1. Doma United, newcomers, played a 1-1 draw with Sunshine Stars. And Bielsa United played a 1-1 draw with Dakar. All of these matches in, of course, Group B. All right, let me go to Austin. I know we're pressed for time, but I mean, it would be fair to get his own thoughts. I mean, Rangers losing in Oka. I don't know if he has anything to, maybe because they've not been playing at home for a while. I don't know if he has anything to do with it. I hope they get home sorted very soon. But did it come to you as a road shock?
No, it didn't come to me as a shock, because it's a derby, and Abia Warriors, they're the sort of team that if you underrate them, you will be punished, and they've shown that over and over again. And they're a team that is always fighting. And when you have such an Oriental derby as an opening game, what Abia Warriors would have said to themselves is use this game to start properly. And now they understand that it's an abridged season. So when you start getting these early wins, you do yourself some good. Only 3 will get out of a group. So we can jump up and say it's Enugu Rangers, expected that they can go on to win. But for me, that game was played on a neutral ground, and it's the first game of the season. So the team that wanted it the most got it.
All right. We'll leave it at that. I mean, later on, we'll talk about it. But let's take a look at match day 2. And see what's going to happen. I want to run through this quickly so that we can go to the ladies, and also will take us through that one. But these are the things we're going to see in the next set of matches. That's going to be match day 2. Let's see. El Kanami Warriors will be up against Nasarawa United. Gombe United will take on Remo Stars. Shooting Stars up against Kara United. Benel Insurance, of course, won the first game of the season after beating Aqua United at home. They will be playing Batu United. Aimba will take on Aqua United. This looks like a proper NPFL game that you want to see wherever you are in the world. Let's see Group B and look at what Group B is going to give us. Still match day 2. We're going to sort that out. It's match day 2. Abia Warriors up against Bayelsa United. Lobby Stars up against Rangers. And, of course, Sunshine Stars will take on Rivers United. Niger Tornadoes will be up against Doma United. And, of course, Dakada will play against Wiki Tori. So these are the fixtures. All right, let me give the floor to Austin. We don't have a lot of time to talk about all the fixtures. Maybe we'll do that later. But let's talk about the ladies. We're pressed for time, but we have to talk about the ladies while the guys were trying to sort themselves out. They were in full flight. So take us through the fixtures to expect for the ladies tomorrow.
That's right. While we wait for that to come up, let me just let you know that in Group A, Bayelsa Queens, they're topping the table. Bayelsa Queens showing a lot of might in the Nigeria Women's Professional Women's Football League, while in Group B is Nasarawa Amazon. So let's just run through the fixtures for the Nigeria Women's Football League. In Group A, Bayelsa Queens will take on Delta Queens. Bayelsa Queens, I told you, atop the Group A table. Heartland Queens will take on Oshun Babes, while Royal Queens will go against, I'm tempted to say, struggling Rivers Angels. Rivers Angels will need to find a way to get back into this one, particularly if they can root for a win in that fixture tomorrow. In Group B, in the Nigeria Women's Foot Premiership, you will see the likes of, won't get that up, I'll confirm it, but I'll just wait for a confirmation of the fixtures in Group B. But I was about calling Ken Idris Bolu. I don't know if it's time for a break, but it seems that Rivers Angels are yet to still get into the season.
Yes, it feels so. I don't know, maybe it's a bit of spill from last season, because last season it was a bit of struggle for Rivers Angels, and maybe this is a phase where they tend to, fall deep a bit and then relaunch themselves. And teams also are doing something great. See, you can mention a lot of teams: Delta, Nasarawa, Robo Queens, Delta Queens, Bayelsa Queens, all are not resting on their horse. So they get the challenges here, and maybe they are just, trying to dig deep so they reenact them. So, and I really love that. Like I said about the NPFL, Rivers Angels is one of those teams I always want to see now that we have, continental football for women, because they are pretty experienced. Anybody who comes into Rivers Angels, whether you're a 18-year-old, 14-year-old, it feels like you're part of something that is great. So you need, to understand that. And when you have teams like that, we will now start talking about achieving and conquering Africa. Rivers Angels have conquered Nigeria over and over again, and I need them to relaunch. But for the teams catching up, it is good for our football.
All right, it's good for our football. I'm told we have just a few minutes before the show comes to an end, but we will not fail to talk about the FIFA Women's World Cup. Our coach, that's the coach of the Super Falcons, Randy Waldrum, he's been talking about Nigeria's best outing in the tournament, which happens to be in 1999, and he's saying that his current Super Falcons squad can emulate what the 1999 team achieved. And here's a quote from the coach. He says, "I'm confident and realistic about this. We have an abundance of talents in the squad, and I'm convinced they can go that far. This particular team is very talented and has the same ability to go far in the tournament, just like the class of 1999. He goes on to say, to be able to achieve this and even more, we need to have all players in fit condition, healthy, and most importantly, have enough time together. If we have enough time together, we have the ability to be successful at the World Cup." Comments coming from Randy Waldrum, the Super Falcons coach. Candidates were pressed for time, but it's good to keep your hopes high. Do you see this team as talented as the 1999 squad? A quick response.
I think in the case of Randy Waldrum, Austin is the mentor-in-chief. But that's on the first side. Really, I think probably watched the program last week and he understands the kind of bashing, coming for him after he made that statement. And he needed, damage control, and this is damage control. But if in his heart of heart, it really means what he's saying, and he understands the work that will precede, achieving this, I think he's on a good stead. When you say this, you understand there is work to match it, and that is what we want to see.
You have to back it up.
This crop is very talented, truly. But being a unit and competing unifiedly against top teams, I think that is where our problem lies. But if you look at them by their names, where they play, it's a top side, anywhere around the world. But being a unit, I think I can't say so much about that.
Okay. Austin, it just called you tormentor-in-chief. So I don't know. But quick one, before we yield the floor to you, and tell us what's happening with Liverpool and Wolves before we wrap things up. But that comparison, what do you have to say?
He has no right. Randy Waldrum has no right to even. It's incomparable. He can't do that. He can't no. What he should be telling us, in fact, is he convinced that he knows his team enough to go to the World Cup and impress? He should be giving us team progress. He should let us know the condition, the sort of tactics you're going to execute. You don't come here and try to be relevant. I've said it over and over again that the NFF should never make the sort of mistake they made with Randy Waldrum. He's a college coach, and college coaches just go to competitions, and whether or not they win, they get props because it's for development. This is the Super Falcons of Nigeria. We want to see real work, and with the work we've seen with this guy and the Super Falcons team, from the Women's Africa Cup of Nations to the friendlies that they played, it's a lot of questions waiting to be answered. So no, I don't think he has the right to compare the class of 1999 to what he has. He needs to, show some working.
All right. I don't know how far we're going to be able to go, but any update for us, Liverpool and Wolves?
Halftime in the game between Liverpool and Wolves in the FA Cup. Wolves 0, Liverpool 1. Harvey Elliott with a goal for Jurgen Klopp's team. I think they need this win so badly. So we'll wait to see if it's going to go in their favor. West Brom 1, Chesterfield 0. That game is just about to get into halftime. And then Wigan Athletic and Luton, that game halftime, and it's goalless. That's all for now.
All right. Kenny, this quick one. Let's talk about tomorrow, Manchester United and Crystal Palace. a lot of people are beginning to put Manchester United in the conversation for the title. Is it too early? Do you think we should be mentioning them in that conversation, or is something we should start thinking about?
I think we can. 9 points between Manchester United and the leader Arsenal, and 9 points can get eclipsed in 3 games. And one of the reasons why there is that talk also is Arsenal. Probably for it to be Man City 9 points ahead, people would have said this conversation, it can only get bigger, the gap, not smaller. But for Arsenal, you can't really say that. For Manchester United, good form, post-World Cup, I think is the most informed team in the entire Europe. Trust me, Manchester United are on a build. And Coach Eric Ten Hag said something. He said the only thing we want to achieve is to restore confidence in our fans and supporters. And that is happening already.
All right. Austin, we got to go, but probably a few seconds, like 20 seconds, Australian Open. Any surprises yet?
No surprises yet. We're just waiting to see as the competition progresses. But away from the Australian Open, I just wanted to say that Manchester United, they have a good motivation going on for them. And I think it has to do with Cristiano Ronaldo getting out of the club. But let's see. I think interesting weeks ahead for them. If they can, pass those hurdles, then we can say, yes, they are in it for real.
All right. We got to go.
We got to go. That's it. That's the show right here in London. I'm Austin Okonakpan. We'll be back again tomorrow to talk some more sports. But until then, you can keep talking to us on Twitter or channels _sports. That's the show. I'm Austin Okonakpan. And everything you do, remember, keep talking sports. Bye for now.
All right, Kenny Idris, I want to thank you for your time on the show. As usual, we'll take our conversation out of the studio.
Yeah, never ending. It's always good to be here, Yemi.
All right. And that's the show today. We do hope that you've enjoyed everything we've been able to bring to you today. We'll be back here again tomorrow. Take you on a trip across the money spinning world of sports. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Bye-bye now.